Inheritance is one of the four pillars of object-oriented programming. And I would say that inheritance is one of the main things of like what distinguishes it from like procedural based programming. And the reason I say that is because what's happening here is, say you have this main class or parent class and you want something slightly different than that, you don't have to copy the whole thing over again and then start over and add what you want that's different. You could just make a child of that class. So that child inherits everything the parent has. It gets all the same variables, all the same functions, all of that. But then you could add the one or two things that are different with that specific class, that new class that you want to build. So it's usually called an is-a relationship, and I will give you some examples. And it's you write it by going, or the syntax is class and then the derived class, access space level, so like private or public or protected, and then the base class, and then you set up what it is. So like the example I have here that I'm going to show you is that you could have class laptop and it is public from the computer laptop, right? I want to demo how we're going to build these parent and children classes with our computer and our laptop. I took the liberties of creating the header and the implementation files. If you need help on that, I have previous videos that go through that process. So we're going to go over to our computer HPP file, right? So this is our header file for computer file. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the definition of our class, right? So we're going to get class computer, and we're going to have different variables and functions in here, right? So, right, we might need name, right? The name of the device. And how about what kind of OS it is? And maybe how much RAM it has. So those are some properties, right, that all computers are going to have. You might want to make this gigabyte just so. Thanks. And then we could have like a Boolean of is powered on. Right, so there's just some of the basic things that you'd have in a computer. And we'd want to have a constructor, right? And we'll just make a plain constructor and a plain destructor, right? Computer. And so we're going to go and put those in our implementation file. And here we'll just put standard cout that we are destruct the computer. And here we want to put the laptops, and it's not happy right now, and that's because I forgot computer, right? We have to tell it which scope it's getting these from, right? The scope resolution. Basically, I always like to think of it as the library saying what library it's getting it out of. It needs to find the computer in the computer class. And so, right, we have these variables. And I'm lazy. I like to copy and paste variable names, right? So we could just get rid of the data types. And we could just set these to some default values, right? That's what we'd want to do. So, right, we could say this PC and OS equals Windows 11. Gigs, we'll say it's 32 gigs. And we'll say it is true, that it's powered on. So, right, so that could be stuff that, you know, any PC is going to have this kind of information in it. And then we're going to make a laptop that is going to be a child of that class. And so we're going to go into the header file, and that's where we're going to do it at. And so we're going to just do the same thing. It's going to be a class, and it's going to be a laptop, But instead of ending right there, what we're going to do is have a colon, and we're going to say public, and we're going to say the parent class, which is computer. And you can see it's not happy, and that's because we need to give it the information about where to find that parent class, right? And if I spelled computer right, it would also help. So we'll fix that as well. Include computer.hpp. And we'll spell computer right, because, you know, that's better. And some things that are unique to like a laptop that wouldn't necessarily be on a regular desktop or something would be like we could have a float, which would be the battery percent, and say screen size. So that could be another int, right? Screen size. Laptops have built-in screens, whereas desktops won't. Is charging, and that could be a Boolean, right? So those are some of the things that we could have that are specific to a laptop. It still has the other stuff, but it also has this, has like battery percentage and screen size and that kind of stuff. And so we'd also want under, and the one thing I think I forgot to put over here is we want to make the computer both public, right? So we'll do the same thing here, is have our constructors, our constructor and destructor. We have a laptop and the destructor laptop. So we could build those in its implementation file. And again, right, it's laptop and laptop. And so the destructor, right, I'm just going to put standard cout destruct laptop. And then we just need to set these values to have some default values. So percentage, we'll say 100, screen size 15, and is charging, we'll say false, right? So we have our default values for it, and now we need to go and build that, right? So we're going to say, and we could just have a computer, right? And we need to, again, typing computer. My PC. And we need to include our headers here, right? So we need our computer header, and we need our laptop header. And so we did our computer, right? And so this is going to have like set default things, right? And we didn't really give it, we didn't do anything specific to it. So we'll just do that for right now. And then we'll do a laptop of my laptop. And just so we could kind of see what's going on, that's all we're going to do right now is just compile this. And then we're going to run it. And you can see we had destruct laptop and destruct computer, destructing computer. So you notice we had the destruction of the laptop once, but we had destruction of the computer twice. And that's because it was going in, and what we should probably do too is we'll have this. We'll go and put in our laptop here. We'll say standard cout built laptop. And then we'll have that similar thing. Oh, we probably want an endl just because we'll put the same thing over here in our computer one. But instead of computer, we'll say computer, and we'll put an endl, and I left the endl here. This is just so we could kind of see the process of what's happening here. Because I always find this helpful, for me at least, when I'm trying to understand what's going on, is so that you can see how things are actually being built. So let's look at our main again, right? What we've done is created a computer and then created a laptop. And you can see, right, this is the easy for me to say, create the computer. And so it said it built the computer. And then it built the laptop. And so first it did, when it built the laptop, it first went and built the computer. That meant it did the constructor for the computer. Then it did the constructor for the laptop. And then when it's destroying them, it destroys the laptop. And then it destroys the computer. And then destroys the computer again, right? That's in essence how inheritance works, because what's happening, right, is that laptop is a child of the computer. So when you go to make the new laptop, what it first does is it goes and makes the parent, and then it makes the laptop again. So that is in essence what is inheritance, and is right? A laptop is a computer. And so it inherits everything from the computer class.